So what I wanted to do today is try to blend what you do in skill acquisition for technical skills in basketball and coaching with something known as Observe, Orient, Decide, Act. It's called OODA. Okay. Have you ever heard of OODA?
No.
Okay. Let me build some context and we'll have a conversation about this. So we are at the approach end of runway 5 left, NAS Oceana, right above us. In fact, today, aircraft are taking off runway 23, which is the opposite of runway 5. So just this morning, F-22s, F-18s are taking off right over our heads. So that's actually going to interrupt us every now and then.
Sure.
So the OODA Loop, Observe, Orient, Decide, Act, is connected to fighter aviation slightly. I'll talk a little bit about that. But we'll go into that a little bit deeper here in a moment. But we're going to talk about OODA. You don't know anything about OODA Loop. I know a little bit about basketball. My girls play basketball. In fact, you train them. So why don't you introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm David Cochrane. I'm a small-time business owner. I got a training facility right down here in Virginia Beach. I also am the head coach and director of basketball operations at Norfolk Collegiate School, which is a private school in Norfolk. So I'm just basically basketball full-time. I'm not as smart as this guy.
Oh, no. So getting into your training was a little difficult about 4 or 5 years ago. So we're coming out of COVID, right? I think, our girls back, well, they're 16 and 14 now. But then you were in a different facility, right? And you were training some girls and some talent in the area. Can you talk about how many D1 players have you helped get into school, and what's that look like?
So I think even better than Division I is just all divisions. We've gotten 96 players. We've helped facilitate offers to get to college, which is a big deal for us. I started out with 3 clients in a shed. I'm not lying. Down the road, like in a shed, put a basketball hoop up and put a little turf on the ground, and we started trying that. But those 3 kind of turned into thousands out of, and it just kind of organically grew and grew and grew through word of mouth and just result-driven business. And now here I am trying to even scale it even more.
So how many coaches do you have working with you or for you now?
6 now, but 10 overall in my 5-year history here.
Okay, so you're bringing in coaches, and they're generally D2, D3, D1?
Division I, Division II, they're all former college basketball players. So we have all played college ball. Half of us have coached college ball, and we all do this full time. So what you see out there right now is like a lot of trainers who are part-time, or it's like a side hustle or whatever they want to do. But like for us, we think one of the advantages that we have is that this is all we do.
Yeah,
I'm blessed. I get to wake up and do basketball every day. It's fun. Like I have nothing to do right now. So like this is, it really is a blessing, man.
So Virginia Beach is starting to become a hotbed for, in my opinion, and I don't know what you think, but a hotbed for recruiting. We've seen a lot of talent come through, but I think a lot of talent comes through this gym right here, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
you have somebody playing on the USA team, is that correct?
Micah Ojo.
Yeah.
She grew up training here her entire life. She's a little bit hurt right now. She still comes through when she can. She's on a busy schedule right now for where she's at. But we're happy to say that we gave her her foundation and really built her up and kind of created the player she is now. And that goes with a bunch of other players, including your girls. Now we don't like to take credit. Like you see a lot of trainers out there like to take credit for like a player. Yeah. I find that kind of off-putting and kind of weird. But like we helped in their journey. Yeah. And that's to me is a blessing, because I mean I'm just blessed to be a part of all of these players' journeys. Yeah. I hope they one day see that, man, coach had an impact in my life.
So growing up, I didn't know that like you can make a business out of training kids. But you have parents that have a disposable income. You have dreams of going to D1 schools, D2 schools. You have kids that just want to go to university, right?
So I'm gonna tell you something. Yeah. All right. Basketball has now become a sport where basketball used to be a sport where you could go outside, you got a ball, you went to a court, and you just started playing. Yeah. If you are not training and you're not putting in hundreds and thousands of dollars, you are getting left behind. Yeah. It's kind of like baseball or soccer, how it still is, but how it used to be. Like in order to get better at this sport, I gotta put in money. Yeah,
that's never unfortunate. Like that. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it grew to that.
But and let's talk about that. It's kind of turned into like a nasty thing. There are the parents, the adults, the families that have disposable income can do this,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Not everybody can do this.
I know.
But it doesn't mean you can't do this on your own either, right?
Agreed.
Like you can still go out there and put the practices. In fact,
Sure.
one thing I tell my girls is, hey, if you want to go work out with David Cochrane, you got to put 2 to 3 hours in a week before you show up here.
Oh, I love that.
Do you know if they do that or not? No, they don't, by the way.
They don't?
No. And this goes back, this is fundamentals, right? This is not a place to come practice. This is a place to train and get some feedback and some other things. We'll talk about that as well. So I want the girls, when they come in here, to go out and execute the things that they were taught and learn. And we'll talk about muscle memory and what that means a little bit. But then you get into coaching. So you're a coach now at high school level.
Yeah.
What we've seen with coaches, and we've had Sue Enquist on, who actually worked with, she called him Papa Wooden from, am I saying it right? From UCLA.
Yeah, John Wooden?
Yeah. So she worked with him years ago, and she's one of the winningest coaches. And here comes the sound of freedom.
I know.
It's okay. We'll let it go.
You're going to get a lot of those.
Yeah.
We're right next to the base.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure that's still recording. Take advantage of that. Oh, yeah. All right, so those are F-18s flying over our head, more than likely. There's that connection we made earlier. We'll talk about that here in a second, but we'll let them fly by. Back to this coaching. One of the requirements to be a coach, and when we had Sue on, she said, Ponch, there's really very little training coaches have to be coaches, right? They just follow what their coach showed them, and they execute on that, and sometimes they get lucky, sometimes they're really good at that. But coaches need to be trained. They need coaches too, right?
Agreed. I think personally, I think that's great. I think you got seminars you can go to, you got coaches clinics you can go to. There's things that everyone kind of collaborates and helps each other, right? But I think personally, like to me, the most important part of being a successful coach and really growing yourself as a coach is relationship building. Like if you can understand, and if you can start to, let me try to think of how to word this. If you can just build a solid foundational relationship with all of your players 1 through 11, I think to me that's the hardest part, because with that comes buy-in. Yeah. And with buy-in comes coachability, and it comes chemistry, and it comes continuity, and a lot of different things. So like to me, no, there's not much going on where like coaches are getting taught like how to get better at coaching. Now there's YouTube now, so I mean you got basically anything, but anyone can post anything on YouTube. Right now the only really thing is like there'll be like a coaches clinic or seminar maybe like 20 times a year. You'll have coaches, you can go and pay a fee to get in, but that's very, very technical. That's very X's and O's based. But they don't really teach you how to build relationships and how to relate to kids. Yeah. So this is huge. In the world of complex adaptive system, it's the relationships or the interactions that matter. It's not the quality. So this goes back to sport. If you look at a high-performing team, even in basketball or football, generally you need decent players, right? You don't need the best players, but it's the interactions that matter, how they work together as a team, and they can dominate. So you've seen this with like the New England Patriots. I think you're a big fan of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? Huge.
And then what's your favorite NBA team?
I grew up a Jazz fan. I still am. We're kind of down though. But
okay. So last night, I think the NBA kicked off 2025-2026 season this past week. We got Oklahoma City out there. You had, I think the Golden State Warriors beat the Nuggets and Lakers this last week?
Last night, right?
Yeah, last night.
I watched it.
I didn't.
Can't believe they blew it.
The Nuggets?
Yeah. I put a little money on it, too. I put a little money on the Nuggets, and they blew it. Up 7 with 2 minutes. Sorry.
No. I'm a big fan of the Nuggets. In fact, the first game I took the girls to was a championship game NBA for the Nuggets. I think they played the Lakers that night.
Wow, that's amazing, man.
Was it?
Western Conference Finals?
No, I take it back. We did. We went to the championships. We saw Miami Heat.
Yeah, okay.
Their first NBA game was Denver. So that was
crazy.
A couple years ago. Anyway, back to basketball and coaching. What I've seen is, and let me explain why I think basketball is so important. I didn't play when I was younger. I played, played around in college a little bit. Got my ass kicked. I don't have a lot of skills at basketball, right? So my girls, when they saw. They were playing soccer at the YMCA, and they saw this orange ball, and they saw these people having fun. They said, I want to try that.
Right.
So we took them over to the Y, it was 8 years ago or so, and they started playing basketball there. What I like about basketball is there's a solid connection to the OODA Loop, which is Observe, Orient, Decide, Act. At the if you look at the OODA Loop holistically, it's a flow system. And a flow system is really basic. It says you need an input and an output and some type of boundary, right? And what you want to do with that is you want to move a currency from a area to a point, right? So think of the basketball court as an area, and the hoop is as the point. So you're just trying to move that currency around the best you can.
Sure.
And the way you do that is you design. It's through design. How you design, which includes training, nutrition, sleep, all these things, right? How do you get the optimal design to move that currency to a point? The other thing about it is the dynamic reallocation of resources, and resources in this case being humans, right? What that means is it's a highly interdependent sport, right? You can't be a social loafer. You can't just hang out and hide in basketball. You have to participate.
Agreed.
Not only that, you have to go from offense to defense, right? Not all sports do that. Football,
right?
Okay, it's time to go take a 20-minute break and come back and play defense. There's no time to hide in basketball.
Right.
So your endurance comes into play. The game is constantly changing. Throughout, even a game, the conditions are changing. The players are getting tired. They may not have slept the night before. They slept in a hotel. There's so many variables going on in it. Conditions, temperature, sprains, whatever. So many things going on. So that game is critical, and it's critical for understanding life, right? So if you think of basketball, it's about life, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Right.
So getting the kids to play the sport is critical. Small teams, highly interdependent, and you need to put in the work.
Right.
We already talked about that. You know, these kids can't just show up and do that. And of course, that's not always a good thing. You get kids showing up in high school who've never played, and they kind of left out.
Right.
So maybe there's a way to bring them into the fold. So that's why we have the girls playing basketball, and it's not about going to university to play D1 or D2 or anything like that. This may help you get into a university, but more important, you're going to learn something very valuable, and that's teamwork skills and the amount of work you have to put into
communication skills, leadership skills.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this sounds a little like, oh, duh, but just how to stay alert.
Yeah.
I think that's a skill. How to stay alert, like in life and everything. And like in basketball, like you already just said it. Like it's one of the few sports that you go from offense to defense and you're moving quick, and there's a lot of moving parts very fast. Yeah. So like having to stay alert of where's the ball, where's my man, constantly is a skill. Yeah. So I was piggybacking on that.
So the alertness, we call it situational awareness. I'm going to talk. So back in the day, I used to fly right here out of NAS Oceana, flew air shows. I was an instructor here. So in that, we learned a few things. We learned the importance of communication, teamwork. We also learned the importance of planning, briefing, executing, and debriefing. So all teams go through that life cycle. They plan, they execute, they assess, right? The assessment piece is critical. And that is a high-performing organization, right? We're 2 miles from one of the largest bases on the East Coast, F-18s. Everybody's seen the movie Top Gun Maverick, and they're like, what's that about? Well, those lessons you learn in the cockpit can translate to everything you just said, creating situational awareness, being alert. What's happening now, what happened in the past, and what could happen in the future. Right. Anticipating what's coming next, right? Yep. So it's amazing to be able to take the lessons from the cockpit and try to explain it to the girls so they can see, hey, when we use. Do
they understand all the symbolism?
No. They're catching on to it though. Okay. That's why we're here. I want to go. Sure. How do we make this? Let me get to the fundamental question that I asked you. I think when we started, not today, but in the past. How do you get what you do in this gym to translate to a game? Right? How do you do that? And you told me back then. Sometimes it just emerges. Sometimes it just happens. Right?
I think I have an answer.
Okay.
So, just from experience, just from the players that I've had, because it's hard to, let me just, if you don't mind, give me a broad scope. It's hard to replicate coming into a training session and you're looking out there and it's a blank canvas. There's no one here. And you have the ball and you have to use an imagination of where your 4 teammates are, where the 5 defenders are, how's the defender playing you? Is there a forearm? Is there a hand check on your hip? Are they on the body on your side? So to me,
that's all right.
Keep going.
Sound of freedom.
Keep going?
Yeah, we'll be fine. Yeah.
All right. To me, the best way to transfer it over is to take 1 or 2 things you've learned, from your training, because good trainers, they tell you when and why and where you're going to be using a skill.
Yeah.
Okay. You always need to understand why we're doing what we're doing. Okay. And then you got to recognize, and then good trainers, and I believe we're good trainers, then put you in a situational training here with live imagery.
Yeah.
Okay. Live defense. And basically, you try to take that. You go to the game, take one or two things that you've learned. If you find yourself in that situation, you try to get back to your training.
Yeah.
Understand, all right, I think I know what to do. I'm going to use a shoulder bump because she's on my left shoulder. I got to get 2 more steps and I got her.
Yeah.
All right, and then you can kind of go back to the footwork. You can go back to your patience, go back to your pivoting, just little skills that you've been taught. I think just take 1 or 2 things that you've learned, try to remember basically your situational training, and take it to the live game.
Okay.
And that's how I've seen the players have the best success.
So we're going to build on that today, and we'll get into that in a moment. So here's what I've seen in here is when you do the stations, I've seen the live training where you put one of the players against the other one.
Yeah.
You put one of the coaches up there to show them, hey, this is why you're doing this. So you have a defender doing something to force them to go one way, right? It's a constraint, we'll call it that.
Yeah.
In dribbling, when they come over here on the left side and they do their dribbling, generally they're doing dribbling independently, but as a group, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they're going through task training.
Trying to tighten up their handle.
Yeah. And then right behind me, they'll go back through another series where they're probably attacking from the right, going to the basket, right? So attacking from the right side of the court, and then maybe doing something underhand with the left hand or what have you.
Sure.
All right, so what I've seen here is phenomenal. I think we could take it to another level. When you work on shooting, for example, the girls have gotten better at shooting, but over time, their other coaches over time have kind of said, don't do that, do this. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, so now we have to adjust, but that's okay. It's okay.
Sure.
So here's what I want to do. I'm going to take you through the OODA Loop, a very basic understanding of the OODA Loop.
Okay, very basic, I hope.
Yeah, and then we're going to take that and we're going to go into something known as constraints-led approach. It's an ecological approach to training, and we're going to try to translate that to some things you just said.
Sure.
And then maybe we'll get up and we'll demonstrate and come up with some ideas on how this works.
I'll try to make it not let go of my head then.
Okay, all right. So here's what I'm going to do. You ever go to Jimmy John's by any chance?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
That's my spot.
This is Jimmy John's, right? This is actually what I'm doing. I went to the Jimmy John's right up the street. They have this picture hanging up there, and what it is a brain. And can you just read that out loud? Can you read it?
Yeah, I think
it's
so.
It's kind of funny, right?
According to research. That's research?
Researchers, yeah.
Researchers, that's what messed me up.
Yeah.
According to researchers at Cambridge University, it doesn't matter in what order
Okay,
the letters.
perfect, that's fine.
Yeah.
So what and I'll put this up on the screen. So this is a study that says all the words are scrambled, all the letters are scrambled except the first and last, right?
Okay.
So the reason you can read is you're pattern matching. You're not reading every letter when you read a word, right? So what's happening is there's something that they've kind of discovered about the brain, how we process information. We predict it, right?
Okay.
So the reason we predict it is because our brain uses so much energy that it has to find an efficient way to experience this reality, right? So what it's doing is it takes a model, builds on that model, and predicts what the next letter is going to be, right? So according to researchers at Cambridge University, even that thing's out of order, right? So that's one example. Another one is, I want to show you this one.
Show me.
This will be kind of fun. We'll get into this. Okay, this is called Adelson's checkerboard, and I'll put these up on a slide for everybody too. And the question is, you're looking at a checkerboard with a ball that is casting a shadow on the different areas of the chegboard. And it asks, which square is darker, A or B? So what's your answer?
Man, such a trick question. I'm going B.
All right.
I'm assuming it's A.
They're actually the same color. Check that out. No, it's the same color bar that came across here.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to take this one away from you.
I can argue A is lighter, but okay.
No, but you're right. You're right. So let's talk about this. So the reason you see A as being lighter than B, or B being darker than A, is because things that are in a shadow, we have a world model, an orientation that says, hey, when something's in there, it might be a little bit darker, right?
Right.
So we predict that. Even though you know the answer, I gave you the answer, you still look at it and you say, no, it's still A is lighter than B or B.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
It's because your brain is processing that like, no, anything in a shadow says it's going to be darker, right?
Right.
There are other illusions out there we can demonstrate. And what I'm getting at is our perception of reality is constructed top down, inside out, right? This reality you and I are in is it's hallucination. That's what they're calling it right now. So it doesn't mean we're hallucinating everything. It just means that our brain is projecting this thing in our mind. Or another way to think about it is our sensory organs are not just passively experiencing this. We're actively engaging in this reality. So what does it have to do with sports? Well, perception and action are critical, right? Perception is top down, inside out. It's constructed. Action, we need to take an action to change the world or update something. When you think about basketball, it's a 1v1. You and I playing basketball. The environment's the basketball court, it's the temperature, it's everything in here, it's the ambient noise, it's the F-18s flying overhead. And you are my environment. I am your environment, right?
Sure.
So what I do, if I go in a direction or whatever, it creates what are known as affordances, opportunities for action, right?
Okay.
Right. So that's the external environment. I want to understand that, so that perception of reality, to see more, to create that situational awareness, I want to be able to help the players have that. So here's what's really, really important. Perception and action should be coupled, meaning that if I am doing a skill or working on something, I need to have some type of information flowing to me as to why I'm doing this, right?
Yeah, okay.
All right, so this is interesting. And this is where I think we can...
Corrective feedback, or is it what you're talking about?
It can be, or it can be a constraint. So a feedback, we'll get into feedback here in a second. So anyway, the OODA Loop is high. We won't go into a lot of details here. We'll talk about perception and action and the environment. So again, the environment, you are my environment with this, and then I'm your environment. So when we're competing, I want you to do something, or whatever you do is going to allow me to do something.
Gotcha.
So in basketball, the reason we do a hezi, why do we do a hezi? Because I have to explain this to my kids, and they don't understand it yet.
We do a hesitation, try to freeze the defender.
Which is to create an opportunity for action, right?
Yep.
So if I'm trying to get inside the defender's observer-oriented side act loop, I'm trying to create disorder, confusion.
Yeah.
And that is not about me just going through the motions. I'm trying to get you to do something, right?
Right.
So in order to do that properly, what I'm learning is we can't just teach the kids to do a hezi.
Agreed.
We have to put somebody in front of them to show them, here's what you're trying to do. Why are we doing this?
Right.
Because I want to get it. Yeah.
Imagery.
Yeah. You want that. You want that environment. So what I've seen a lot of basketball coaches do, and I'm not, I think you're about 50-50, maybe 60-40, where you're actually putting the environment out there for the kids. Most coaches will just go ahead and just run them through they call it blocks, right? Hey, just go do this, without the why.
Yeah.
I know. So we'll get into that. But the OODA loop, the people say you got to get inside their OODA loop. You got to freeze them, create disorder, confusion, right? So that's what you want to do. You want to create some type of condition or take some action that forces you, in this case, David, to freeze.
Sure.
Or to lean one way or another.
I'm kind of staying with you.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
But that's what you want to do at basketball. So what I've seen with the girls, and I think I've asked some of the coaches in here, I was like, can you explain why they're doing this? Because it's you start with the why. Why are we doing this? I want to freeze a defender.
Sure.
I want to put some doubt in that defender's mind. I want them to
want to raise their hips.
Get them to do something that allows me to do something else. 100%. I also will check out what I'm playing against, right? Because that's going to determine my game. If I know you're a fantastic defender, I have to shift my whole game, right?
100%.
So that's why that environment is critical, and that explanation needs to be there. Okay, so back to the OODA loop. In fighter aviation, many people say it comes from fighter aviation. It doesn't. It actually comes from understanding the nature of creativity, right? How do we become creative? How do we adapt to a changing world, right? We'll let this jet go by here in a second. Sound of freedom right there, F-18. By the way, we'll come back to that. Just so you know, the F-18 was designed by the same person that gave us the OODA loop.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Completely different story. Here comes another one real fast.
There's going to be many.
Yeah, that's fine. Sound of freedom.
Especially in the morning, they do their runs.
Oh, yeah.
In the morning. It usually stops around like noon.
Got to go out there and see the aliens that are flying around whisking. No. The UAPs out there. All right, so adaptability, right? We're trying to adapt to a changing environment, right? That's basketball, right? 100%. When we're playing the game, the environment's changing, we have to adapt to it. That's what we're coaching kids on. So that is a simple way of saying getting inside somebody's OODA loop. So tempo, we talk about tempo too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Can you walk me through a little bit about tempo when you teach kids tempo, like dribbling, speed?
Tempo in basketball is just critical because you have to keep changing it.
Yeah.
And
why? Why do you have to keep changing?
To keep your defender guessing.
That's right.
Very simple things.
Yeah.
So when you're a good offensive player, you can move at different speeds. You can move at different speeds. You understand how to manipulate defenders.
Yeah.
You understand how to attack top foot. You understand how to, like we said earlier, how to raise their hips. You understand how to read the angles at which they're taking, like little things, how to size them up.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, believe it or not, psychology, a lot of it. But again, basketball, like most sports, is all angles.
Yeah.
It's all angles. So it's a lot. It's a lot. If you really want to break it down, it's a lot of geometry. It's a lot of psychology.
Yeah.
To me, I think.
We use a lot of geometry and psychology in the market, by the way. So that's another story. So the thing that popped up in the last few weeks for us. So let me go back to when I was learning more about the OODA Loop, and that is the idea of complexity, complex adaptive systems. You're a complex adaptive system, so am I. The fighter jets are complicated, but you put a pilot in there, they're complicated, or complex. So complex adaptive systems are there's a path dependency, so what happened in the past matters. They self-organize, that's very important. Self-organization is critical. There's about 20 to 30 different ways to explain a complex adaptive system. So your teams are complex adaptive systems. You never know what you're going to get.
100%.
Yeah, you never know what, every night, every day, you're going to get something different. Right?
Live.
Yeah, so within the OODA Loop, and I'm going to go back to that for a moment, there's something known as orientation. That orientation is based off of three things. It's genetics, our culture, and our experiences. So genetics being our DNA. We talk about epigenetics, which is changing that DNA. Your biases, things like that, your size, your strength, how tall you can grow to. Then you get into culture, which is language, symbols, things like that, cultural issues. And then experiences would be the training that you get. That training you got last week here at the Cochrane Academy, how much sleep I got the night before, how much, what did you eat in the last couple of weeks? Are you eating junk food when you're going to play basketball? All these things.
Right.
All these things matter, right?
Sure.
That's your orientation going into there. So all that training, all that previous experience goes into it. But when you get on a court, it's competition. It's almost warfare, right?
Yep.
And you said it right. It's about manipulating that. It's about creating that confusion, deception, right? So there's a couple things I want to do with you here in a moment, and that is talk about how we could create more game-like conditions for the kids.
In training?
Yeah,
Absolutely. You want to tell me about it now?
Yeah, we can talk about it. So this is very important.
Go ahead.
So like I said, we're going to have Rob Gray on the podcast soon. Constraints-led approach. I could talk more about these things, but the idea is to get away from some of the. Let me grab some notes here, because I want to make sure we get this right.
Sure.
Traditional coaching. Let's talk about this. You brought up a few things. A lot of times we learn from our coaches and we go, hey, that's the way things are. That's the way I want it to be. Parents come in here or they go watch a basketball team warm up and they see the weave and they see the lines and they see everybody shooting the layup. That's not what's going to happen in a game. There's always going to be competition there, right?
100%.
Right. So
that's building muscle memory. Getting yourself loose.
Yeah, getting yourself. Warming up. Warming up is good. But what we want to do is, there's no one ideal technique, and I want to ask you about that. So, I had it in my mind for the longest time that there's only one way to shoot a basketball. There's probably a good practice out there, and I want to walk through that because I can't explain how to shoot a basketball to my girls, but you can, right?
Yeah, sure.
I can say a couple things to them. One, a high release point.
Yeah.
It's important, and a high angle, right? And the reason for that is physics, geometry, a lot of things. Yeah. But then you get into the mechanics of the arm, right?
Yeah.
And something else I learned is that no matter how we try to do this as humans, we cannot repeat the same exact motion. We're going to get really close.
Agreed.
There's going to be variability in that motion, right?
Right.
So just can you walk us through how you get through a good shooting motion?
Yeah, it's a lot of it's pretty detailed. You want me to go through it all?
Yeah, why not, man?
Okay. So the way I taught his daughters is the way I kind of teach everyone. It's what worked for me. Growing up, I was a shooter. So I got scholarship offers because I could shoot. That was my skill that I excelled at. And I was taught by an amazing shooting coach who is now coaching in the G League, teaching basically professional ball players how to shoot. And he's one who taught me up in Richmond when I grew up. And I teach the same way he taught me of some slightly different variables, and that is 2 fingers in the middle of the ball, always. Hands spread apart. All right, opposite hand on the side. A lot of people you'll see will come on the opposite side of the ball. Sometimes Callie will do that. Yeah. You want it on the ball so the right hand has all influence of the ball. Okay. You don't want your weak hand to have any influence of that shot. Sometimes people will push with the thumb. Sometimes it will come off their ring or pinky. I mean, so there's a lot of different things that can change the course of that shot. The last thing, you're talking about high elbow, and that's great. We do want a high extension, but our best release point doesn't matter what height for the size hoop that we shoot on basketball is what we call 45-degree angle. So if you look at your 90-degree angle, all right, we're trying to get at the 45-degree marker, and that's our release point nonstop. And then the biggest thing for us is focusing on the wrist and fingers. That's how you control the rotation and the touch of the shot. Is the last thing is that, say you had a pie chart of how do I get the ball from my hand to the rim? Okay, legs, shoulder, arm muscles, fingers, wrist. The wrist should be about 50%, at least, give or take. It shouldn't be. A lot of people use the legs too much, but if you go look at the greatest shooters in history, I'm talking Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, Larry Bird, Dirk Nowitzki, Steph Curry, they barely jump. They barely jump. They barely get off the ground. I mean, it's legit like 2 to 3 inches. That's it. But they don't need to because they've been taught how to snap a wrist high and extend it out 45-degree release point. And to let that ball slide off the fingers. Don't push with the fingers. That's the number one reason shooters fail. They push with the palm, they let it sit on the palm, or they push with the fingers, or they jerk the shoulder to try to get extra power when all you need is a smooth one fluid motion snap at that 45 degree. Okay. And if you can do that, you can make the majority of your shots. But that takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of consistency. It takes a lot of repetition, like over and over and over and over again until you become slightly obsessed with it. So like that's how I think shooting should be broken down, taught, and so I mean, and I can go on about hand positions and everything.
So you brought up so one of the things I noticed about some of the girls that are playing for our high school is rotation of the ball. I think it rotates left or right, and you said the left hand placement on the ball. Is that why it's doing that, or?
It rotates left to right,
I think it's right to left.
So it trails right?
I think it rotates left. I think. I might be.
So that's from, who does that, Callie?
Callie does it.
Yeah, because Callie puts the ball in her palm. She's not gripping it. There should be space between the palm and the ball. So sometimes when you push with the palm, it can almost like spin off the palm, and sometimes.
There you go.
I wish I had a ball. Sometimes she'll put her hand on the opposite side of the ball. And what happens when you put your hand on the opposite side of the ball is you're basically blocking your own shot. You know what I mean? You got to get that thing off before. You're supposed to have it on the side. Some people put it, like I said, on the opposite side. And what happens is it rolls off these 3 fingers, and that's where you get your slide.
Okay. So one of the things I'm learning from the constraints-led approach is there is going to be variability in the shot. And I was watching this video of Steph Curry, and people watch him when he warms up. He looks like he's warming up from the same spot all the time. Right. And he'll come back and say, "No, this is not how I do it when I practice. I'm doing this like you just said. It's a warm up just for me to get adapted to my environment." But what he ends up doing is he'll do sprints, right? He'll run sprints, get tired. That's a constraint. He's constraining his body. He's like, "Hey, I want to be in a position where I'm tired." All right. And then he may have a defender in front of him and do all that. So because that's going to alter your shot slightly. But at the end of the day, you still want a high release point and a high angle.
No doubt.
Right.
Believe it or not, if you were to talk to like Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, Steph Curry, Dirk Nowitzki, some of these great shooters ever, Klay Thompson, they will tell you straight to your face that they prefer someone right in front of their face when they shoot.
Yeah.
Because majority of your shots come with people in front of you. It doesn't come some great shooters, believe it or not, or even good shooters, even above average shooters, like they have trouble shooting by themselves.
Yeah.
And there's that pressure of like no one's around, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When someone's on you feel like you're just in rhythm. So like little variables and like that, but yeah.
No, so this is fantastic, and again, it's there is no one perfect way to shoot. There's a good technique, right? A good one.
Yeah.
Not all kids are going to have it, right? They're not.
No. Everyone has their own style, believe it or not. And sometimes people
What's
make
it based off? They make it work, right?
Yeah, they make it work.
But what are the key things to make it work? Is it still a high release point?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to see anyone release it at your forehead level.
Yeah.
You're still going to have that. You have to have the extension to get the ball up and over.
So if you focus on those things, you're going to be okay.
Right.
Yeah. So instead of focusing on where your elbow is and all that, if you think about the high release and the high angle, and you work towards that, all these things should fall into place for your body.
Sure.
And then I want to go back to your point about the shooters. They want somebody in their face. Okay, this is very important.
Yeah.
That's a constraint.
Yeah.
That is creating an affordance in the environment. What that is affording me to do is I have to have a high release and I have to have a high angle, right?
Yeah.
I have to do that. Or I may have to jump too, right?
Sure.
Depending on height.
Yeah.
So that's how you want to practice. You want to practice like you're going to play the game.
Yep.
And this is a phrase I learned recently. The game is not the best teacher. Hear me out on that. People say kids need to go play a lot of basketball games, right, to learn. We need to flip that a little bit and do that teaching in here by putting the constraints in here.
Right.
By giving them that opposition, the defender, that why. Why are you doing this, right? So it's a shift in thinking. Rather than focusing on the pure technical skills, you got to put that perception in there, right? That perception of the environment, that defender in my face. I have to have that in practice because that's how I'm going to get it into the game.
No doubt.
Right?
100%.
And that's the same thing we did in fighter aviation. I had to think about this. In fighter aviation, just down the street here, we have simulators. And these simulators are pretty powerful, but they just don't simulate air underneath the butt, right? You got to put air under the butt. You got to get out there and do that. But it simulates enough. It's a good constraint on the body to understand how the system works. Yeah. So we practice like we fight like we train, if you want to put it that way. So in combat, what we discovered in combat is that the training we had was more challenging than the combat missions, right?
Gotcha.
And that's what you want. You want to create that type of environment here. Is I'm going to give you the most challenging environment, so when you go out to the game, it's you get more in the flow. We can talk more about that too. So it's kind of like flipping the script. And I remember going back to the fundamental question I asked you a while ago is how do you translate this to the game? And I think that what you and I are missing, or I didn't know then, you got to simulate it in here. You got to create those games. All right.
Yeah.
So.
Can I tell you a couple drills we do to help get them ready?
Yeah.
So I think that the best thing that we do to really help get them ready is, if we're going to continue to talk about shooting, is, oh man, I wish I had you girls to demonstrate. I have like multiple drills where it's a changing variable every time.
Yeah.
Which is I like. And what happens is you'll have one player start, say, top of the three-point line. The other person will be in the middle of the paint. Okay? Person at the top of the three-point line, they're going to pass to a coach. All right, they're going to go run and touch a cone to where that first player that was in the middle of the paint was. As soon as that ball is passed, person in the middle of the paint, they sprint to the top of the key. Person that was at the top of the key, they sprint. They touch a cone, they go try to block them.
Yeah.
And you get a different hand up, you get a different version of that closeout and defense every time, so you get multiple, like, basically imagery of where the hands and how quick you got to release it.
Yeah.
And so it changes. So while all your basic principles are still there, like you were kind of talking about earlier about variables, like you have to kind of change some of your shooting variables because of it.
So these are we'll call these constraints or variables. So there's three types of things you just brought up: task, environment, and individual, right? So the individual, I struggled with this a little bit, and that is the What an individual constraint is, get them to run, get them to do something, get them to move around, right? Change up their space. Environment, you put a cone out there, maybe you limited the space that they're using in, and the task is, hey, you can only dribble once, you can only do this, you can only use your left hand, whatever it may be. So, so those 3 things we can manipulate as coaches. Right? And I see you doing that. You're now going into high school coaching, and I want to bring this away from an individual coach for a moment, for coaching individual skills to coaching a team.
Awesome.
But this is kind of interesting. So one of my frustrations in watching a game is an inbound pass, contested, right?
Yeah.
What I've seen is and I'll talk about girls basketball, they just don't know how to throw a ball, and not where to throw a ball, right? How to anticipate something, right?
Right.
We're big fans of Travis Hunter from CU now at Jacksonville, playing cornerback down there.
Can't believe he's struggling, by the way. Sorry.
But the way he anticipates things, or the way he can kind of mask where he is in relationship to a receiver.
Yeah.
It's the same thing you want to do as a defender on an inbound ball, right? You want to present an affordance, opportunity for action, an opportunity for the inbounder to throw the ball to the person that you're defending.
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm going to steal that ball, right? Because I know how to anticipate that. So what I want to know, and maybe we can do this here in a few minutes, or talk about it, come up with an idea. How can you use the constraints of task, environment, and individual constraints to teach a group, a basketball team, on how to inbound a ball?
On how to inbound a ball underneath your own hoop?
Anywhere on the court,
Anywhere
actually.
on the court? You just give them different situations in practice. That's what I do. So we do at the end of every practice, we call it situationals. And what we do in situationals is we always start out of bounds, believe it or not. Either baseline out of bounds, or sideline out of bounds, or full court out of bounds. So we'll mix up what we're doing. We'll mix up how the defense is playing. We'll mix up if the person guarding the ball is icing aside with their hands. We'll mix it up if they're going and running out and trying to full denial. We'll mix it up if they're trying to play safety over the top. We'll mix it up in saying that the defense stays in man to get in the inbounds, and then once they pass it in, they fall back in zone. So like we try to get them ready for everything. Every changing part of the environment in the game. I'm not saying we're perfect coaches, perfect people, perfect team, but we're trying. And we're trying to just get them ready to see and be ready for every defensive coverage that you can, while understanding what our options are, while being able to see, all right, what are they in, what are they doing, what are they trying to take away, things like that.
So what you're talking about is giving the kids an opportunity to make decisions under time constraints and pressures, right? So representative drills, and I want to talk about this. I had this idea, and I want to bounce it off you. Because I want the girls to kind of try to take this in there. And it's something I notice in girls basketball, and that is the idea that I'm going to look at the person I'm going to throw the ball to and stare at them, and then tell everybody I'm throwing the ball, right? And they'll inbound the ball.
It's terrible.
But remember, we talked about it's all about creating mismatches, confusion, disorientation in the minds of the defender. That's not helping them, right? I'm sorry, that's not doing that.
No, it's not helping.
You're helping them out. In fact, you're like, I'm going to throw here.
I think there's a couple things that go into that. Girls basketball is different than boys basketball for the single fact that boys are stronger, boys are taller, boys have usually more experience than girls. That experience comes from when you're young and you're a boy. Like, if you're playing a sport, it's almost always going to be basketball, football, or baseball.
Where you learn deception early.
In America, at least. And girls, like, when you get introduced to sport as a girl, you're talking field hockey, you're talking, like, I got my girl right now in gymnastics, I got her in tap dance, I got her in soccer. Like, there's like, boys don't go into those things as much. Like, so I believe they have more experience from a younger age. I believe they have more tutelage. I believe that they have more opportunity, and they're stronger, taller, a little bit faster. So some of what you're talking about just has to do with, like, passing angles, has to do with just being able to throw a pass to certain lengths that some girls can't make. Like, some girls at certain ages, like fifth, like, honestly, from like 5 years old to even 15, can't even make a skip pass with strength. You know what I mean? So it's hard. So, like, I don't know. So, like, just going back to what you're saying, like, it's just, I feel like they're a little bit more limited in that, but a lot of that has to do with coaching too.
So let's build that up, right? So the simulations or representative drills are critical here, and that is, I'm going to throw an idea at you. So if I was to go coach girls on how to inbound a ball, and I wanted to do it where we can turn it into a game, like turn that into a game where defense gets points or offense gets points or something like that. We'd put a constraint on it with time. Okay, we're going to do 3 minutes of this, and I'm going to do 5v4 in a small area, right? And what I'm going to do is let them just struggle with it. Like, hey, defense is up 20-1. You got one inbound, defense got all of them, right? Let's have a quick conversation on what's going on and figure out what they're seeing, right? So this flips the script. It's not being prescripted to them. It's like, let's put you in that situation and have you tell us what you see. And now, what can we do next time? Let them come. And I don't know what you call the little handoff when somebody just comes to the inbound area and you just kind of hand them the ball.
Yeah.
Most kids, they don't even know how to do that, right? And you're like, but you want to get them to discover these things on their own too, right?
Sure.
So we don't want to be too prescriptive with it. So the drills that would, that I see not working are, let's talk about the weave. When we weave a ball up the court. Yeah. It's usually done on a post, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What are your thoughts on that? Is that okay, or?
Yeah, I think so, man. It's just an old school drill. One, to get the ball moving, hot potato. You're trying to give them that mindset that, hey, I don't want it to stick for too long. Yeah. And two, it's just a warm up drill to get the body moving.
Okay, so if we treat it like a warm up drill, I'm okay with that. Now let's talk about that drill in particular when it comes to perception and action. There is no opposing force. There's no information. There's nothing. There's no decision making. It's just learning the method.
Muscle memory.
For the parents, we're like, oh, that looks great. They're so good at that, and that girl can't do it, or this person can't do it. They need to work on this. That's not what we want, right?
Yeah.
We want to get them in situations where they're making decisions, right?
Right.
And one thing that so again, it's that design that we want to move towards. So the old school thinking is we want to have those techniques. We learned it from other coaches. We want to shift from that to an ecological approach, which is having them in those situations, creating the conditions where they have to make decisions. Sure. And another example of this is when you teach the girls to attack, and it just drives me nuts, and I try to explain it to them all the time. Yeah. When you have a live defender and you don't attack, you're missing a huge opportunity.
Agreed.
Even if the defender is better than you, you want that.
Yeah.
You want to find out
in training or
in training. Okay. Yeah. So when I walk in here and we watch the girls and they decide just to shoot over somebody, I'm like, you can shoot over,
Yeah.
You can do that at home with dad.
See what you can do.
Yeah. Go attack and see what you don't know. Go fail in here. Right. So we want them to fail in these conditions.
100%.
We want to push them. Right. And that's one thing that I tell the girls is go ahead. It's okay. If you're going to fail, go do that right there. Figure out right.
No doubt. And fail. And it's one thing to fail. It's another thing to fail conservatively. I tell everyone this. If you're going to make a mistake, it needs to be an aggressive mistake.
Yeah.
I don't need conservative, defensive mistakes. Like scared mistakes. Like, you're going to do it, go do it. So that's just my thoughts.
Yeah. So I do have another one for you.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this, and I want to run this by you, and maybe we should go get a basketball here. But the elbow, making contact, the girls have learned that to make contact on offense, right? It's a good thing. The elbow can only go up to how high when you do that? Is there a rule? You can't push it.
You can put up as high as you want. It's just the extension that matters.
Okay, this right?
Yeah. I mean, you extend. It's going the other way, but you can hold. I know players. I have my best player in high school. He's 6'7". He's a 6'7", 205-pound strong kid, and all state last year, all region, something like that last year, and he'll drive with a stiff arm. And he's just not letting you get past that stiff arm, like he's a football player.
Yeah.
But he never gets called for because he never extends. He just keeps it there.
So you can push it out. You can do that.
Yeah, you can. I can say you're trying to take a ball from me.
Yeah.
I can just.
Okay.
Right here.
Okay.
But if I extend on you, that's another thing. But I can hold a forearm on you. I can hold a hand on you. Really.
Yeah.
So
I was working with Callie the other day, and I was like, Callie, when this is out, you don't want to collapse it on me, right?
Right.
So I'm like, it's not just to hold it once. It's to hold that pressure out there. So I said, okay, let's come up with a game. And what I did is we had a yellow line in the basketball court, and I said, your objective is stay on the yellow line, You can't go past me.
Oh, yeah,
but you got to
right.
remain in contact with me.
Yeah, straight
And I'm
line
gonna-
drive.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
want you to do this with a dribbling with your left hand, right
Yeah.
forearm out, making contact with me the
That
whole
was
time.
good. That was smart.
And
Smart
I
of you.
tell you, it's fun, right? Because that's what I'm like. I don't play basketball, but I was taking the lessons from all this and
No,
saying,
that's smart.
yeah. So that's what I was trying to get to the girls is, how do you create the conditions so you know? I hate to call it muscle memory, but you know, yeah.
It's tough to create. You can't create every condition,
Yeah.
and you can't create a game environment. You just can't. But you can do as much as you can. Most of it, like we said earlier, is game imagery. Most of it is getting live bodies on people and having them create offense with those live bodies, making live reads, seeing how the defenders are covering you and countering. And you were working on those straight line drives, which we do in here constantly. Last time they were in here, we did it. So like, and to me, it's kind of like the number one thing with a lot of young players, especially girls. Girls want to be able to get to the rim without being touched.
Yeah.
Most of them.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just not. There's just too many moving parts, too many moving bodies on the court. So like,
Mike can drive and she'll take contact, right?
yeah, but she wasn't always like that.
Okay.
You know, and I got these two twins, my first two clients ever. They were in here training 2 nights ago with me, and we're working on that still. So the first time I ever had it, we were working on that.
Yeah.
2 days ago, 7 years later, we're working on that.
Yeah.
So it's just like you're gonna have to keep doing game-like scenarios in training. It
Yeah.
keeps you fresh. It keeps you updated, and it just keeps your muscle memory at a good level, man.
Yeah. So I want to talk about dribbling now. One of the things that I noticed the girls do is they'll go in the garage and they'll dribble. They'll go through their exercises and all that.
Good.
It's kind of good. I used to think it was great, right? Now
Sure.
my mind's starting to shift. Like, wait a minute. What are the things we can do to help the girls dribble under pressure in practice?
So, 2 different things.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing is, yes, agreed. You want to be able to dribble with pressure, and that's a whole different thing. But in order to dribble with pressure, you got to learn to dribble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to do it by yourself.
So let's talk about that. So the constraints on dribbling. Let's talk about task, individual, and then of course environment. So dribbling, I think what you guys do is you use constraints. Say we're going to do, we switch with little kids. Dribble to your left, right?
Yeah.
You can't use your right arm. That's a constraint,
Yeah, sure.
right? Because everybody who's right-handed dribbles with the right.
Right.
So that is a basic constraint, and I agree with that. The
Can I say another constraint?
build on it. Yeah.
Okay. Another constraint is not all dribbling is the same. There is such thing. There's multiple styles of ball handling. Ball handling, you can be tight. What you probably see them in the garage doing is tight. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going behind, between. I'm going to create ball manipulation, in and out. I'm going to go in and out between, behind, double behind, cross. Like you can mix up different understandings of like patterns of dribbling.
Yeah.
And that's what we call tight ball handling. You're trying to create. You're trying to get that thing on a rope.
Okay.
Everything's on a rope. You need that to get yourself understanding of timing and space of the dribbling. That's the start, and then you got to start to learn.
Well, let's build on that.
Sure.
How can we build? Okay, so what you just shared with me is you're going to put a box around them and say, stay in this box and dribble.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So we can use that as a constraint.
It's a feel. It's a timing and
Well, let's.
spacing thing.
Yeah. Okay. So timing. Let's talk about that. So if I were to put a tape on the ground
Sure.
and tell them to do that, you got to stay within here, and that ball has to stay within that.
Yeah,
That's a
sure.
constraint, right?
Yeah,
we could
100%.
video it and go, hey, that ball came out 10 times.
Yeah.
Okay. So that makes more sense. So you can actually do that type of thing.
But the thing that you're talking about another thing is, and then you have like rhythmic ball handling. You got to understand how to flow and move with the ball. So like if you cross the ball over, you want to create space and you want to shift weight, and there's so many things. There's so many things I could talk forever on.
No. But how would that look as a constraint? Like getting the girls to flow. So I try to metronome with
You
them.
were
right?
here the first day I taught them, actually.
Yeah.
You were here recording. And so we're trying to get them, again, this all comes back to manipulation of defenders, but we're trying to get them to move with the ball. So then, say you get a rhythm dribble and you kind of skip over 4 feet with the ball. You float with the ball.
Yeah.
Floating with the ball. You float with the ball, and then you can go back to tight, 1, 2, 3, and you
Yeah.
kind of stiffen up their legs.
Yeah.
So So there's so many different styles of ball handling you have to learn before you can even understand how to negate pressure with the ball handling.
Yeah.
Like you got to understand how to change up, and again, all things we've talked about: changing of pace, changing of rhythm, changing of tight to rhythm, changing your hip levels.
Yeah.
Trying to get them to raise the hips, and then I get back low and I move by you. Like there's so many different things, but like I think the number one thing is teach them everything, teach them it all, progress on it, and then once they finally have progressed on it, then they have to do what they're doing in your garage. They got to work on it daily by themselves, because if they're not going in there and doing it by themselves, then when, say, you're dribbling and I start smacking, I start putting elbow in you, and I start trying to poke at the ball, little things like that, or I need you to get from here 10 feet that way, and I'm right here. What are you going to do?
There you go.
They can't do those things without the little drills that they're working on in the garage.
Okay.
So I'm actually with them on this one.
Okay, so now you just brought up the other constraints. Now you're going to go 10 feet. You're going to do these things.
Yeah.
I've seen kids do the dribbling with hands. You know, somebody else has their hands on their shoulder.
Yeah.
Walk me through that. What does that do?
First step speed.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's creating a quicker first step.
Okay.
That's all that's doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that makes sense. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of things you guys are doing right in here, and then just some numbers that they're throwing out there is, 70% of the time, roughly, maybe a little bit more, in that real type of game feel that create those little games where they have perception, where they have the situation. Yeah. And then I think most coaches try it the other way, where they do it where the drills, they go through all the drills, and then they play the game. You want to do games within your games, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you're trying to do here.
Yes, sir.
And by the way, you're constrained by the area that you have in this gym, right? Yeah, which is fine, which is actually a good thing. Yeah. So there's a pole right behind the camera here.
I know.
But that's okay. That's a constraint. No, it's a constraint. Right?
Yeah,
it says we got to keep this tight, and we're going to play in these areas. But hey, so this has been great, man. I've learned a lot from this. I want to show you one last thing here.
Yeah, sure.
So this is the OODA Loop. That's what it is.
All right, let me see what this looks like.
Yeah.
OODA Loop.
Yep. It's pretty confusing. That's what my shirt is. I'm going to flip it around real fast. And this is another way to look at it. We talked about perception and action, and then the environment, right? So this is a boundary that goes around whatever, a cell, a neuron, a human, a basketball team.
Where'd you go to college, man?
I went to University of Colorado.
Where'd you study?
Economics. But I wrote a book on all this stuff too, which is the flow system.
I have that.
So we talked about perception, we talked about action, but what we did talk about today is the intuition and skills. How do you build that up? That's important. So it's all relative, right? Relative effectiveness. What we want to do is we want to take what we know, or we think we know, challenge those assumptions, and see what else we can learn from other environments. And that's what we were talking about, is bringing the perception and action into training.
Yeah.
Not just doing cone drills, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Cone drills they call it fake agility. That's what we see in industry too. They go through cone drills. They go through training that teaches them how to dribble around cones in their business, if you will. But they're not learning the real information side, which is how do you interact with the environment.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Cool, man. Do you have any questions, comments, anything you want to cover today? Anything?
No, man. I mean, listen, I appreciate you bringing me on, dude. A lot of this is over my head, but I can try to give you whatever I got.
No, this is great. So here's what I'll give you. We're gonna end up having a conversation with Rob Gray out of ASU, Arizona State University.
He's flying here?
No. He'll stay where he is. We'll do it remotely. I listened to his podcast called Perception Action. I'm going to go back. So like I said, I started learning about complex adaptive systems, which the OODA Loop is. It's some neuroscience, physics, psychology. But I looked at this thing that the coaches were doing, constraints-led approach, ecological psychology, they call it. And they were using complex adaptive systems to talk about it. That is the same thing we're doing in business, but it's just applied for sports. And we've also learned about, talk about some bigger pictures, free energy principle, active inference, Bayesian brain, predictive processing, perceptual control theory, all these other things. They're all embedded inside the OODA Loop. What does that mean to you? Nothing. It just means, what do I have to do to make my players better?
Yeah.
And that is couple the perception, the situational things, create games for them, create constraints, and repeat that over and over. Don't let them dribble around cones for 20 minutes. Don't let them do that stuff. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Anything else, man?
That's it, man. Thanks so much for having
Okay.
me on, buddy.